Welcome back to Hammers Academy. Today we're going to be reviewing the appalling Everton match that happened, last night for us, but you'll probably be seeing this the next day. I'm joined with Lou. How are you doing? Have you had a chance to calm down after the game?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more calm than last night. I was very frustrated at the performance and the result, but I'm sure we'll get onto that in a minute.
Yeah, and Jack, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I was quite lucky, I guess, by the fact I didn't manage to watch the whole game. I was watching it on my phone on the train, and I think I just got lucky that it would cut out every now and again when something appalling would happen, and I'd have to see everyone's reaction on Twitter to see how bad we were doing. But yeah, I think we'll start off with the positive, and the one positive that I can think of is the fact Robert Snodgrass is on the score sheet. He's usually will chip in with a few goals every season, and it was a great strike. Like, Lou, what did you think of it?
Yeah, it was a great effort. I mean, at that point, 1 minute into the second half, after quite a first half where we could have seen ourselves a couple down, to be level at that point was a huge positive, and it was a great effort. So it's just too bad we didn't build momentum on that goal, and yeah, I'm sure we'll get onto that further down the line. But the goal itself was a great strike, and we know Snodgrass is capable of that.
Yeah, and Jack, do you think the goal Snodgrass scored, do you think it sort of earned him a place at least in the squad for Sunday against Leicester?
I'd say in the squad. I wouldn't say starting, but I think it's definitely giving him like a shout to be like on the bench and everything. Maybe to have a cameo off the bench.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm got to say I'm quite a big fan of Snodgrass. I like his work rate. I know he's not like the fastest anymore. I know he's not like the best player we have in the squad, but you can't sort of go against how hard he works for the side. And I think his delivery's as good as anyone's in the squad, especially his ability from a free kick or a set piece. He's always able to contribute. So I think it's a good thing that Snodgrass has sort of got himself a goal, especially after the bad injury he had over the summer and restart. So it's sort of good to see him like show himself as another option to the management of Moyes and Irvin, although I'm pretty sure it will be Moyes back for Leicester. So obviously the game then went pear-shaped, is probably the best way to say it. What do you think went wrong after the goal, Lou?
I just felt that we didn't take advantage of the fact that we'd equalise and kind of got ourselves a lifeline out of nowhere. And Everton, it kind of woke them up, and they started to raise the bar in the game in terms of level performance. They pushed us back. They created a few opportunities. Richarlison hit the post. Randolph made a great save from Sigurdsson, I think. And then they rather fortuitously got the second goal through Richarlison via a deflection off Rice. And it was lucky in terms of the deflection, but it was certainly deserved for Everton after the pressure they put on us. And it was just disappointing that, like I say, we didn't take advantage of the fact that we scored. And yeah, that goal could have easily knocked the stuffing out of Everton. But yeah, we failed to take advantage.
Yeah, and Jack, obviously Everton had 3 injuries, I think, throughout the game, which forced each substitution they made. It sort of showed just how far above Everton are from us, especially through like the recruitment they brought in. They brought in players like Allen, Decore. I think that was one substitute that happened. But you could just sort of see this quality and depth that we didn't have. Like, how far behind do you think we are compared to Everton?
Well, we're massively far behind. We've been left in the dust recently.
A year ago, we were in a very similar position, like both managerless, and obviously look where they are now.
Yeah, exactly. Their board has taken it upon themselves to fix the errors they've made, and obviously ours hasn't. In fact, we've probably regressed. Well, we have regressed quite significantly.
Yeah, it just shows what happens when you actually sort of invest, especially in key areas like fullbacks, where they brought, is it Nkunku, who looks a really good player. It didn't cost them a lot, but it looks a brilliant player. But obviously, they spent £30 million on Lucas Digne, great signing a couple of years ago from Barcelona. So it really shows the sort of trials of the board to decide we're going to go in this direction of investing money in the squad, it not working, and then going, we'll try again, rather than going, well, it didn't work, so we're not going to try it anymore. Lou, tells you for the match, like, what did Moyes get wrong?
I mean, starting with the midfield two of Noble and Snodgrass was always going to be an advantage to Everton. They had quite a energetic midfield three, because Lanzini was playing quite a bit higher up, more in support of Ale rather than dropping deeper with Snodgrass and Noble. And I think they've got a combined age of 65, which obviously the legs have gone as they weren't so much sloppy on the ball, but off the ball they were just easily bypassed by Everton's energetic midfield. So I think that for one, and then obviously later in the game he just yet again, as we've complained so many times in the past, failed to make substitutions when we really needed them. We were 2-1 down. We were on top. Aller had a good opportunity save. Lanzini hit one just wide. So we were on top. We were pinning them back after they'd made the 3 substitutions. So they couldn't make any more, and that could have affected them. That was the time to strike when the iron was hot, but he just delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. And eventually they got the 3rd goal, which ultimately killed the game. And I feel like if he had the opportunity to bring on first team players, he had Souček on the bench, Bowen. I can't even think right now who else, but those kind of substitutions could have easily brought us back into the game with another goal. And if we scored, we could well be through now. But Everton then kind of had a lifeline of their own in terms of Moyes just being dilly-dallying with his lack of substitutions, and then, like I say, they scored the 3rd and the 4th, and that's us out of the cup for another year.
Yeah, it definitely sort of showed from like the sort of chosen teams. I don't think obviously a lot of people can argue with our like attack that we started that have been so prolific in the early rounds, of course, against League One sides, but they probably have earned the right to start in the cup, especially like Anson had played so well in the previous games. Yarmolenko was the player of the round last week. Haller scored 4 goals in the 2 games. Lanzini was even looking like his old self, of course, against their opposition. But the defence, in my mind, when I saw it, was just appalling. Like going to a back 4, which we know we're not as good at anymore, with Declan Rice as centre back for his first game at centre back since I think last time Moyes was at the club. Like it just seemed really sort of hashed together rather than actually a planned system. And to me, was almost like we don't want to be in the cup anymore. Jack, I don't know if you agree with that or not, or do you think it should have worked better than it did?
Oh yeah, I think it probably should have worked a bit better. I think several players didn't really turn up, but also I do agree that I think he was playing a bit of a weaker lineup, maybe for like the hope of getting knocked out. I just don't see why we started Noble and Snodgrass really. That didn't really warrant their places. Like, if anything, why not start Cullen in there and maybe
self-isolating, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, sorry, but
Sure.
we had so many like other options to do, and that's sort of the easy option and the one that like just cost us really.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the one thing I mainly took from last night was that Declan Rice is no longer a centre back, and that he's got very accustomed to the midfield role and that he's brilliant at, and sort of just needs to be kept there. Which I mean, I think should be good for West Ham fans because Chelsea want to sign a centre back, and Declan Rice proved last night that's not him. But so obviously Leicester coming up, what would you say is like the main thing that needs to change going into that game, Lou?
I just think we need to revert to 5 at the back formation, really. It's been working so well in the Premier League. Obviously against Arsenal, where we were unlucky, then our own little demolition of Wolves. So yeah, we need to revert back to the formation and pretty much the same lineup as last week, really. That will hopefully give us a chance of getting at least a point at a very tough away ground.
Yeah, Lou, Jack, do you think we stand a chance against a team that just destroyed City, or do you think we do have a chance if we play like we did against Wolves?
Yeah, I think if we play like we did last week, then we've definitely got a chance. But well, Leicester conceded 2 goals, albeit to City, but they still conceded twice, and so there are weaknesses there. As long as we're on our A game and the same formation that we played against Wolves is played, I don't see why we can't go get a point or maybe even win it. But what I would say is I would start Haller. He has to start, and then maybe put Antonio onto the wing. I think that's the change I'd make for that formation for the game.
I think, in my opinion, I'd maybe disagree with that. I agree Haller needs to somehow be embedded into the side going forward, but in terms of the Premier League, where you've just won 4-0 against Wolves, who going into the game you probably would have put on an equal standing as Leicester. I don't really see where you change that 11, especially with the lack of subs that are going to get made. So I think for that, you keep the same 11.
Yeah.
Like, would you make any changes going to Leicester or the same side that beat Wolves?
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry. No, I'd keep it at the same side. I don't think anyone deserves to lose the place after the performance against Wolves. You know, who would Haller come in for Fornals, but
Yeah.
he assisted one and basically created the other with his shot. And obviously in a tough away game, we kind of need his work rate because Leicester will probably be dominating in terms of possession and the overall flow of the game. So Fornals will come in handy in terms of that. So I'd certainly keep it the same, as well as Antonio up front last week was. I know he didn't score, but just the way he led the line, he stretched the defence, he held the ball up, and yeah, I think we're going to need that kind of, play from our lone striker against a Leicester team who we might not create too many offensive, attacks against.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think in terms of no one really deserves to be dropped from the Premier League side, if you will, and it's difficult to make a case. I think maybe the only change we might see is at right back, but obviously that's not yet confirmed or announced, and whether or not Vladimir Kufal will be a West Ham player in time for the match remains to be seen. But we will touch on that on another video. Until then, Red Hammers Academy, make sure you like and subscribe to the video for more. And as always, come on you irons.